Howdy y'all, my name's Aaron Cavley. Welcome back to the channel and the further adventures of Jinx the Cyberpunk. This episode, I've decided I'm going to do mostly a narrative. I've been kicking around Jinx's finally being invited and what he may have to do to get into the Vultures. And the story's just kind of been brewing in my head over the week or so since the last one, since I decided that this was kind of what needed to happen. So I have an idea, and I'll modify it, but um, sometimes solo play is all about just being narrative. So we will go ahead and get started with that. Jinx shows up again to Slab's warehouse. He's not in the gang yet. He's not in the Cardinal Vultures yet, although he's in with them, or at least with Slab. She's been impressed. He got her Harry Potter book, and so she's been offering him jobs, pretty simple jobs. Nothing worth cyberpunking about, but he knows that he's pretty well enmeshed with them now. He's been mostly driving escorts, driving people around here or there, acting as a courier through the different parts of the city. He's had a couple close calls where the police got a little too interested in what he was doing. He managed to speed away from a drive-by from another gang, a gang that he didn't even know who it was, because he's meeting all sorts of new and interesting and criminal people as he's working for Slab. Uh, he 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 knows that he's transported illegal things, but everything's illegal today, depending on who's in the city council. But he's kind of suspicious that maybe one of those things was maybe a body. Uh, it was a heavy freezer trunk, but he just did his stuff, got his pay, and went home. No trouble. And he pulls the car in. It's a little uh, putt putt that Slab has him drive around town, so it doesn't look suspicious or anything. And he pulls it in, hops out, pats it, gives a little pat, says, "Good job." Just sort of a little habit he's gotten into, a little ritual to pat his car and tell it good job. He walks into the office and he sees Slab's not there. He turns over to her assistant, who's sitting there zoned out on the grid, watching who knows what. "Hey, where's Slab?" "I don't fucking know, man. She said she'd be back in a little bit. Uh, I guess you can sit and wait for her if you want to." "Nah, that's all right. But I've got the car parked and I'm heading on home." "Oh, whatever." So he gets out. He steps out of the warehouse, and it's just a block or two down to his apartment, his tenement. He's living pretty good, but he's still in his tenement. He's thinking about the new uh, food service he signed up for with his newfound money, and they actually deliver him real food, and it's pretty good. And he thinks he knows that his refrigerator's full of beer. He's reaching out, trying a couple different brands, enjoying the income that he's got from the Cardinal Vultures. So he's kind of happy as he's going home, and he did take her advice, Slab's advice, and he cleaned up his apartment. And he finds that going home every day to a clean apartment actually makes him feel good. Huh. Maybe his mom was right. Bless her soul. So he's whistling, he's walking down, gets to his apartment, and goes up the elevator. palms in, and he stops up short. Again, there's a there's people in his apartment. This time there's kind of a crowd of them. There's Slab with her strange gelatinous and uh, form, her gelatinous bulk on her cyber arms and legs, and about three or four other people. He's seen around, but he doesn't. He's never met them. But there's one person standing and staring outside the window, or he's staring out the window. He's not outside the window. He's staring out the window over the cityscape, and he turns, and it's a big man with a grave look on his face, and his eyes are obviously cyber eyes, but they're high quality. They look like regular eyeballs, but they have like the cool digital effects and um, everything else. But he's wearing a long flowing robe, and he's got a big collar, and he has a big gold ring on his finger. And Jinx is glad that he cleaned up his apartment because the dude makes him feel like a child in his own home. Not by being intimidating or anything like that, but he knows who this is. This is the father. He's seen him from afar, and he's seen some pictures um, of him in Slab's office when Slab and he were having little meetings or something. But he's never talked to the man, and he's very intimidating. Even though Jinx has fearless as one of his traits, he's that I've decided mostly applies towards doing physical things like jumping through windows or racing cars through obstacle courses, things like that, because it's tied to a daredevil. It's tied to stunts and physicality, as opposed to someone who's never afraid of anything, right? It does help, but he's fearless driving his car, racing away from the cops or whatever. But he can be very intimidated or made uncomfortable by people like Slab and like the father. And so he gulps, hoping it wasn't very loud, but he gulps because he's not really sure if there's some kind of protocol he's supposed to follow. Um, so he just kind of stands, he closes the door behind him and takes a couple steps into his apartment and just kind of stands there staring dumbly because he doesn't know what to say. And so the father, he's very distinguished looking. He's got kind of the silver fox hair going on, and his face is weary and weather worn looking face. And he steps forward and he looks Jinx up and down with his cyber eyes, and Jinx is just staring at him. And finally, the father cracks a grin and says, "Jinx, I've heard a lot about you. It's nice to finally meet you. Slab says that you've been doing some good work for our family. And that's what we are, Jinx. We're a family. She's told me that you are interested in joining our family. Having worked for us now, having seen how we operate, are you still interested in joining our family?" Before you answer, he says, as Jinx is getting ready to, he's finally coming to his senses, and he wants to, he tries to jump right away, but the father interrupts him. "But before you answer, Jinx, know that it is a serious commitment. you don't just get out of your family. You'll be expected to support your family. And you can expect your family will support you. In this crazy world, there's nothing more important than family. We are a family of choice. We are a family of merit. Every day, countless street urchins and thugs, they approach us. Most don't have what it takes. Not in their cyberware, not in their muscles, but in their heart. Cyberware can be added, muscles can be trained, weapons can be purchased, but a man's heart, a person's heart, that's something that comes as is. I've been watching you for a while, Jinx, and I think you have the type of heart that the Cardinal Vultures could use. One that will support us and be trustworthy. One who I could see as one of my children. So before you answer, take your time and consider. This is no small decision. And Jinx, of course, he's been considering nothing except jumping at the chance to join the gang as soon as he's offered, hoping that he would be offered at some point. He was willing to wait even for a long time because just driving around is a pretty comfortable job for them. And for the most part, even though Slab still really creeps him out, she's a decent enough person. And so he hesitates, and then he starts thinking about how hesitating might be seen as as some kind of rebuttal. And he says, "Yes, Father. I want to be part of the family. I want to be part of the family. I do. I've thought about it for a long time. I've been talking to the people I've worked with. I'm ready to make that decision." The father nods sagely. "I thought that you would." And he gives him a smile, a warm, fatherly smile that transforms his whole cyber gangster face into a happy fatherly vernuncular. How about that? I like that word, vernuncular. A friendly vernuncular face. Very well. Everybody, whenever they join our family, our congregation, must go through baptism. You mean like getting in the water? Something like that. But a sign, an act that lets us know that you have crossed the threshold. Oh, okay. We can, of course, baptize you in water if you want, but that's not what we're talking about. I will leave the actual details of your baptism to somebody else. But for now, I hope to see you on the other side of your baptism. And I hope to welcome you into our family. I think we can go very far together, Jinx. And he holds out, he lifts his hand with the gold ring just slightly. Jinx looks down at it, and he doesn't know what he means, and he's afraid to look away, but he kind of glances over his shoulder at Slab, hoping for some kind of help, and she she kind of dips down a little and motions to, for him to kiss the ring. And Jinx, not offended by the idea of kissing the ring, but just seems a very strange thing to do. So he he kneels down and he kisses the ring. And he looks up at the father, still not knowing what the protocol is, what the etiquette is. Growing up on the street, he knows that the etiquette is very important, right? You don't diss the boss. You don't insult the wrong people. If you're gonna go at somebody and insult somebody, then you better be ready to face some kind of reprisal. And this is not what he wants to do, so he wants to do everything right, but he's not done this before at all. But the father looks down at him and takes him by the arm and lifts him back to his feet, and he gives him a final fatherly smile, and then motions towards the door. Two of the people that were in there with him, they go to the door. They get their guns out. They kind of look around the hallway, and then one nods at the father, and everyone except Slab leaves, and Jinx is just he's just staring afterwards. Slab comes up and kind of adjusts his little suit, because that's the style he has adopted, is kind of this, corpo casual business sports jacket kind of look. She adjusts his loosened tie because, of course, it's stylistic. He keeps his tie nice and loose. So she adjusts his tie and adjusts his collar and brushes off his shoulder and says, "Someone's going to be coming to talk to you in more detail at some point, but tomorrow morning you're going to report over to Johnny Switch's building. He's an upper boss. He's down on 5th." And she taps her eye set, and the information transfers over into his goggles. "Tomorrow morning, bright and early, you're going to be acting as the chauffeur for his wife. Her driver recently had a little accident. Okay? So, what you need to do is just drive her where she needs to go. Keep your eyes open and your mouth shut. And I'll say, keep your hands to yourself. She has a little bit of a reputation. You do not want to get caught up in that at this point or ever. In this family, we're not that way." Okay. So that's it. Just drive around. Just drive her around. Whatever she wants to do, you watch. Keep your recording going. If she's talking to somebody, if anything happens to you while you're driving, make sure that it's recorded. Yeah, okay. Is someone gonna put a hit on her or something? Slab kind of gives him an ironic smile and says, "You don't need to worry about that. Defend yourself, defend her. She hasn't been attacked or anything. I don't think she's in any danger of being attacked from the outside or with any of the people she's meeting. Just keep on your toes. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't get too friendly. It's a short assignment. But that's where you report. Make sure you're dressed and you're armed. Here's a case. Here's some tools for your work." And she points over to a case what looks like a large pistol case that's set on his table. I like what you've done with the place, by the way. I think the father's right. I think you'll do good with us, Jinx. That's why I've given him my recommendation on you. Don't let me down. And she walks out, her flabby thighs swinging over her cybernetic legs, and Jinx kind of chuckles to himself and thinking, "This is this is not this is not a person he would have ever really pictured getting close to or having feelings for as a friend, just because she's so well disgusting. She looks disgusting, but she's really been there for him, and so he, overlooking her strangeness and everything else, he kind of he gives her a little salute as she leaves and closes the door behind. He opens up the case, and there is a short, like a pistol meant for concealment, but it has a silencer on it, and there is a small patch that goes on his glasses, and he knows that it's a type of recorder that plugs into his glasses. It's kind of like a chip. It plugs into his glasses, and he knows that it will be whatever he sees is going to be recorded in that as well. And there's also um, a bulletproof vest, which always happy to have more armor. But it looks more sleek. It looks more like a chauffeur. It looks more like a chauffeur's uh, vests. It's a little more tidy. It's not quite as scuffed up as the jacket he's got. And so he looks out the window that the father was looking out, appreciating the the scenery, watching the storms brewing and the weather lasers dancing across the sky. And he goes and he gets himself a nice meal out of his fridge, nice for him anyway, and one of his new uh, one of his new fancy beers from an uptown brewery, and he goes to sleep happy with the world. Although somewhat troubled by what exactly his baptism is going to be. And the next morning, he finds himself. He's reported to um, Johnny Switch's building. He's not someone he's familiar with, but he reports like he's supposed to, and led in. He's led in to the elevator and taken up to the penthouse of this building, and the rest of the building's a shithole, like most of them in the Metroplex. But the penthouse is really nice. It is obviously a place of wealth. This Johnny Switch, he's a big name in his circles, and he's got plenty of thugs, armed thugs, standing guard around the whole place. And he comes up uh, to Jinx and says, "So you must be the driver that Slab sent over." Yes, sir. And he looks at the man, and he's wearing like these old, military surplus kind of fatigues, and he's got like this buzz cut, and he can see the workings of the cyberware going down his from his temple, down the side, down his neck. He can see the modifications on his arms. He's very muscular, got the very typical square jaw, and he's got a large automatic pistol strapped on his side. It just very much looks like somebody who's come out of one of the old war vids that Jinx grew up watching. All right, so I'm sure Slab gave you your instructions, right? You're just to drive her around, hands off of her, mouth shut, just watch and protect her, right? Yes, sir. All right. 6 here will take you down to your car. You wait by that car. Your job here is to wait by that car. No one touches it. No one messes with it. Without instructions. Got it? Yes, sir. There's a lot of people who'd be happy to put a drone up under that car and set a bomb off in it. All right? This building has pretty good security. Well, at least my parts of it do. But it's easy to sneak that stuff by. Your job when you're not driving is to watch that car. Now, she also says that you're a bit of a rev head. Yes, sir. I know how to work on engines. I do all sorts of stuff like that. Good. Feel free to give it a once-over. There's some fancy rev head shit that you want to do to it. You got my permission. Don't fuck it up, though. That's expensive. It'll come right out of your ass. Yes, sir. You see that 6? I like a man who knows to call his better sir. And he gives Jinx an approving nod. It's all right. There's the kitchen. Help yourself to any kind of food or coffee or whatever it is you want in there. No fly though. I catch you doing anything that's gonna mess with your head while you're on my watch, you will be fucked. You got it? Oh yes, sir. But we've got some when you're done. Well, 6 can hook you up with that if that's your thing. Anyway, go get a coffee and a bagel or tortilla or whatever, and get down to your post. And if you sit there all day and nothing happens, then that's a free day of work for you, right? Yes, sir. All right. Nice meeting you, son. And then he turns and goes off to his office or into the depths of the penthouse. Jinx knows nothing of where he's going, so he goes through he lets this guy 6, who's a tall gangster, black dude with like a big tall spike of hair coming up, and it's hair. It's not like cyber hair or anything. It's just a big tall spike of hair. And he says, "There you go. Have yourself. Come on, let's go." And so 6 leads him down this elevator to a parking garage, and he points out this limo. And by limo, it's not like a big long stretch limo. It's a nice modern car. And as he's 6 tells him to put his hand on the entry, and it reads bloop bloop, authorized chauffeur, all access, confirmed. And all right, stay there. If you need to piss, the piss is right over there. You go and then you come straight back. All right, you get bored. You maybe can watch some stuff inside, but don't let the boss man catch you goofing off. All right. Hey, sure thing. Thanks, 6. What, no, sir, for me? Oh, sorry, sir. I'm just fucking with you. All right. See you later. And 6 goes back up the elevator, and Jinx is left to his own devices for about an hour. He does pop the hood. He takes a look at it. Just for grins, I'll give him an action roll for Rev Head. Let's see. That's going to be 2 and no danger dice. Okay. What? All right, well, it looks like maybe it's double clicking or something, but all right, so we got a 4 and a 6 and a 6. So we've got a good success. So I'm going to say that he does find something in the engine, nothing that's wrong, but just a little tweak he makes. So at some point I'm going to give him an extra stunt point based specifically on the car itself. Okay, he can't use it for anything else. It only has to do with something with the car. So he can try to re-roll or do something because of the adjustments he made. And he sits there for about 2 hours, and he's trying not to, trying not to fall asleep. Because it's a nice car, very comfy. He actually has to pull himself out, out of the car for fear of falling asleep. And he's glad that he does, because about 5 minutes later, a woman comes down, and she's absolutely stunning. And it's the woman that he's never been introduced to her before. She's wearing all white, very very shapely, very hip hugging dress that she has, and she looks him up and down. And let's see, what is her disposition? Let's see, what's her attitude? Okay, so she seems very friendly. She's helpful. She walks up and she smiles at him, and now all of a sudden, all the little warnings about keeping his hands to her to himself kind of flashing in his brain, wee boo wee boo wee boo, because she has just this charming, beautiful smile, and she has eyes, and they're not like cyber eyes, but it looks like they're some kind of custom design eyes, because they're somehow enhanced to make her eyes look bigger and more beautiful, more fuller, shiny something. He's not exactly sure, but he immediately he's like he bites his tongue so that he gets bring himself back into focus. Why, hello, I am Martina. You're going to be my chauffeur, I understand. Yes, ma'am. Oh, ma'am is not going to work for me. Oh, my husband, he really likes that old military stuff, but that's not me. Please just call me Martina. Uh, yes, Martina. And your name is, I'm Jinx. Oh, Jinx. I like that. That's a nice name. It's a little mischievous. Uh, anyway, I need to go someplace. I'll download where we need to go. And I'm assured that you are an excellent driver. And she gives him a little wink and hops in the back. The car opens up automatically as soon as she gets nearby, and the back door opens up. Jinx takes a breath and whew, and then he hops in and drives her around all day. While she's in the back, she pretty much ignores him. She's talking on the grid to all these different people. He doesn't know who. He's sure that her conversations are probably being recorded for one reason or another, um, just because that's he kind of gets that vibe that her husband is probably very on top of what she's doing. Um, but he takes her in to a restaurant. There's where she meets somebody, and he hangs off kind of in the corner, out of sight, out of mind, trying to stay out of the way, because he's not just a chauffeur; he's there to protect her as well. And they spend the rest of the day driving around. She goes to some dance club and dances with somebody for a while. Later that night, she goes out and meets somebody for drinks. Not her husband. She doesn't meet her husband all day long. But Jinx does what he's told. He just watches. He doesn't say anything, and he drives her around. And it goes on this way for about 3 or 4 days. When she comes down, she flirts a little with him in the morning, gets in. He drives her from different places. Nothing that nothing that really sticks out in his mind at all. Let's see. Let's take a look at our friend Jinx here. See if maybe there is something that might give him a role of some kind. Let's see. Probably none of those. Hmm. I'm going to give him a 2 die Let me give him a 2 die um, gutter scum roll just to see if he maybe recognizes or puts something together. There's really nothing obvious. I'm gonna give him 2 dice, and I'm gonna give him 1 danger die just because he's really kind of outside of his well his wheelhouse, so to speak, and Martina is a very distracting and kind person. You know, he doesn't feel suspicious of her at all. But there's something in his head. There's something that's just nagging him about why he's here. Okay. All right. So he did get a success. He notices that she's meeting with like a small group of people at these different places. He starts to recognize a couple of the vehicles. He doesn't really know what it means, and he knows that the stuff's being recorded, but there is something. She's meeting somebody. It sticks out in his mind. He notices, but he kind of his thoughts go towards that she's cheating. You know, maybe she's cheating on her husband, and from from the um, warning that he got earlier, that's probably not going to be looked well upon by by anyone really. Through time or space, people don't generally like to get cheated upon. Um, but it does stick in his mind that maybe there's a little more to him being assigned to be her chauffeur. Uh, Trying to put on airs there. Being her chauffeur than just some random accident with her previous driver. Okay, if you're watching, my face probably just got very bright because I realized I had not turned on my other light. So, which is might be bad for you. Maybe maybe you want me to turn my light back off, but it's too late now. So he spends his time just doing what he's supposed to do. He gets home. He's been driving Martina around for probably about 3 or 4 days now. And again, she's never gotten any closer to him. She's always friendly. She's always a treat on the eyes. And but he's kept his professionalism. He wants in. He doesn't want to fuck this up. When he gets home, again, and he's starting to think that he really just needs to get his locks looked at, there are people waiting for him. But this is what it's like maybe this is what it's like to have an extended family where people are just always in your room when you don't expect them to be there. And he sees Slab, and there is Johnny Switch, decked out in a different style of military surplus. This time it looks more like a camouflage pattern than fatigues. And his buddy, his apparently his main man, his Six, is there with his big hair spike. This time a different color. It's a bright yellow. And Slab says, "Well, there's my man. Come on in, Jinx. It's time to discuss your baptism." And so Jinx, of course, she gets a little nervous, clenches up, his balls tighten up, and he walks in trying to put on a smooth face. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. But um, the Slab turns to Johnny Switch, says, "The floor's yours." Johnny, he gives what he thinks is a comforting smile, but he gives Jinx a smile and says, "You've done a good job, son. Now it's time to complete the mission." "Oh, yeah, sure. What do you need?" "I need you to put a bullet in Martina's head." "What the fuck?" And he looks at Slab confused. I mean, Johnny Switch looks at Slab confused and says, I thought you said this was your boy. Don't worry. This is his first time doing something like this. He'll do it. He'll do you right. Just go slow with him, okay? He'll get it done. Won't you, Jinx? Uh, yeah, yeah. That's what I like to hear. Now, you probably are wondering why. Well, it is. I mean, if she was part of the family, I mean, I don't. She was part of the family. That's the point. But she's a snitch bitch. What? Yes. All this time you've been following her around. We put you in there after we arranged her previous driver to have a little accident. Turns out that he'd been covering for her. She watched you the first couple days and she didn't do anything, but she got back into her old habits the last couple nights. She's meeting people. She's meeting people from another gang, from another family. And she's giving them information. She's a snitch? Exactly. She's a rat. And not only that, not only to the whole family, but to me personally. She's taken things that I've confided with her and she's spread them around. She's shared them. Dangerous things. It's been decided that your baptism will be a baptism of blood. Are you ready to do this? Don't think about her pretty face or her smile. She's a very charming woman, beautiful. She's great in the sack too. But she's a viper. She has taken information for our family and given it out. She's threatened our family by these actions. She's betrayed us. This is not some simple revenge murder. Right? This is not because we're mad at her. If you want to be in this family, this is the first thing you can do to really help. Kill this viper. Take her head off. Not literally, you don't have to take her head off. I'm just, Are you willing to do that? Yeah, of course. Yeah, if she's a traitor, then yeah. Excellent, son. Here's how it's going to work. You're going to drive her around a little bit tomorrow, and then I'm going to give her a call. And we're going to meet someplace fancy. You're going to drive up. You're going to see my car there. As soon as it goes up, as soon as you take her up, that car is going to leave. If that car leaves, then you know what you're supposed to do. You take her up to the room that I tell you, and you wait till you're both alone. Play it cool. And then you put a bullet right in her head. You don't have to worry about any kind of cybernetics. She has them, but she's more of a hacker. She's more of a data person. She might have some kind of pistol tucked away, so you better do it quick, though. I see that look on your face, Jinx. And it's probably good that you've got that look. But I assure you that it doesn't hurt you any more than it hurts me. We've been married for 12 years. 12 years I've given to that woman. But you know what to do, son. And he slaps Six on the shoulder, nods to Slab, and leaves. Slab gets up, looks at him. Are you okay? This is the real thing. This is the threshold. Do you want in? Yeah. Yeah, I do. All right. And she walks out. Oh, and Don't tell anybody, obviously. And so he can't sleep at all that night. He's killed people before, even recently, for the Cardinal Vultures. But they were people he was fighting, people he was trying to get away from. Not just not in his mind, it's a separation between murder and defending yourself. And he sits up all night ruminating on that. He can't get around it. And he shows up to work at Johnny Switch's building, just like every morning. He takes his post, takes his coffee, and sits. And Martina comes down. She flashes him her normal morning smile, and he tries to act normal. He tries to act normal. So he's gonna be doing some tricky. Let's see if he can pull it off. Let's see. At this point, she's unsuspecting, so no danger dice. We'll just see if he can, what he does. Okay. All right, so a 6, a full success. He has been thinking about it all night, but he's been thinking of it as a pros and cons because she is, if what they're saying is true, she is betraying the family that he wants to join and become a part of. And so, at least on some level, he was able to harden his heart towards her. And so she walks up and says, "Good morning, Jinx. Hey, how are you, Martina? Are we off to the usual places again?" And he's putting on a friendly face, but inside he's trying to harden himself even more. He's trying to steel his sword to the soul to the deed. He has an image flash into his head of him putting a pistol to her forehead and pulling the trigger and watching her brains explode out the back of her head onto some wall somewhere, ruining her nice white dress. And he forces the image away and gives her a smile and hops in. He spends the rest of the day driving around town doing different things. He notices that one of the people that she meets with, he recognizes the car. It's different people each time, but he recognizes the car. He recognizes it. It's a Houston Works Rocket Model 7, and he knows it. He knows those things inside and out. They're a pretty common car, high quality, but this one has a revision B set of headlights, but the body is a revision C, and that kind of sticks out in his head. So he recognizes the car whenever he sees it. Different people each time, same car. They're tied together somehow. And then inside his heart grows just a little bit harder. Yeah, she's definitely betraying his family. She gets done with that work, and then they're driving. She gives him the next place to drive, and then halfway there, she uh, sends him a message over the car's comm and says, "Hey, Jinx, little change of plans. We're gonna go over to Montino's. It's a great place. Yeah, Johnny, he likes to take me out there sometimes. It's wonderful. I'll make sure that he gets you something nice too, okay? And of course, he'll probably insist that you sit in the servants area, but it's pretty nice back there too. Anyway, head over there right now, please, okay?" "Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, Martina." So he cuts across, and his pulse starts thumping because he knows this is it. This is it. He he rubs the pistol in the holster. He's now wearing his pistol in a different place on his belt, but close enough. It's there. It's where it's supposed to be, hidden by his jacket usually. And he takes her, and he's right. It's an uptown place, and he goes to um, drives up to this nice building, parks, and he sees the car that Johnny Switch was talking about. And right before they get into the elevator, the car drives off. They go up into the elevator, and it opens up into this beautiful restaurant, this beautiful dining area. But it's almost empty, seems kind of weird to him. It seems weird to him that he was supposed to do something like this in a big public place, like like a restaurant. And so now he's thinking, now that he's looking at the place, he's trying to figure out exactly how he's supposed to do it, because obviously he doesn't want to just do it in the middle of the lobby with everyone watching and then try to run away. He looks at Martina and says, "It's so empty here." Oh yeah, well, the whole joy of this place is that it's all private dining. This area here, this is just where people meet to chat. But most people, they have these beautiful rooms. I'm sure the concierge will tell us here in a moment which one. I'm actually pretty happy that I'm surprised Johnny doesn't take time out a lot in the middle of the day. He's very motivated. Let's see. Is she suspicious at all? I'm going to say on a 5 or 6, maybe. She's a cautious person. If she is doing something wrong, she's obviously always has that in the back of her head that maybe she's been caught. And so I'm going to say on a 5 or 6, she gets very suspicious. Okay, nope. So either Johnny's tone or the message, whatever it is, has her relaxed. She's not very suspicious at all. Just her normal suspicion, that the guilty usually have. The concierge, uh, a slim, tall woman with very dark skin and goggles, walks up and says, "Ah, Miss Martina, we have your reservations in room 312." And Martina, she kind of claps her hands together. Oh, 312. That's the room where we had our first real date. Oh, that Johnny. All right, well, come on. Let's go meet him. You know the way? Oh, yes, thank you, dear. I know the way. Come on, Jinx, let's go. And so they walk through the restaurant, and it outside the lobby, it does, it just kind of turns into these hallways with different numbers on them, in and out. There are a couple servers that come, a couple drones, because some people prefer to be served by drones or androids instead of real humans. It's just the way things roll in Neon City. And he follows her. She leads to room 312, swipes her hand as a registered customer, patron. It opens up. She walks inside, and there's no one in there. Jinx's pulse is just racing now. It's thudding in his ears because he knows this is it. This is exactly what he's supposed to do. He shuts the door behind, and she looks around and says, "Oh, he's not in here. Maybe he went to the bathroom." And she turns around and says, "He'll know what to do with you when you get back." And Jinx has his pistol pointed at her forehead, just like he'd seen in the image earlier. And her face just drops. Terror fills her eyes. And all she can't take her eyes off the gun. And then she falls to her knees and she's like, "Oh no, oh God, oh God, no!" And now he's having a hard time pulling the trigger, so he's just starts thinking about her betrayal, and he's like, "We know what you've been doing. We know what you've been doing, bitch." No God, no God. And she's on her knees. She starts to try to crawl forward. Anything, anything. I'll do anything. You can have me. You can have all my money. Anything you want. Anything. Please, Jinx. Please, Jinx. And seeing her this way makes him look at her in a even in worse disgust. He pushes the pistol against her forehead, and she's like, "No, no, God!" And pretty much just like he envisioned, her eyes get wide and her jaws go slack, and her eyes roll up, and she falls back into the pile of gore that's on the ground behind her. Her white dress is covered in her blood, in the splatter from the bullet impact, and she's lolling. Her eyes are lolling, and her mouth is open, and her body is kind of curling and twitching. And he says, "Fuck, fuck me." And he tries to work up rage at what she's done to the Cardinal Vultures, to these people, these friends that he wants to be, and it helps a little. Fuck me. And then there's a door, a panel slides open on the wall, and he knows that's his cue. He goes out this panel, it shuts behind him, and he follows this passage down to a stairwell, and he races down the stairwell as fast as he can, almost as if he's afraid her ghost is chasing him. And he gets to the bottom, and it pops out, opens up into the garage, pretty close to his car. He drives home, trying not to think about any of it, trying to just follow the road, keep his eyes on the road. And he tries not to think about how her face went slack, and or how her eyes rolled up, or how her brains came out the back of her head onto the floor. He tries not to think about those things as he goes. He pulls into Johnny Switch's building, and he sits there for several minutes, just kind of massaging the steering wheel. And someone taps at the window, and he starts and he looks out, and it's Six with his big cone hair. Six taps on the window again. Johnny rolls it down and he says, "Come on. Boss man wants to see you. Everyone wants to see you." And so Jinx nods, rolls the window up, looks in the mirror, makes sure he's presentable, and he realizes this whole time that he has a rather large drop of blood on his face. Martina's blood. Ugh. And it almost makes him freak out. You know, he takes a handkerchief out of his snazzy sports jacket, and he wipes it. He wipes it off. Tucks it away, and follows Six up into the penthouse on the elevator. And he gets out, and now he's gonna go talk to the guy whose wife he just killed, even though he was the one that told him to do it. Just a lot for Jinx. And he walks in, and it's packed. There's at least 50 people there in the penthouse. And Jinx, he has an initial feeling of running away, like they were there to kill him. Like it was like suddenly he has this feeling he failed the test. The test was really not to kill this woman who was part of their family, and he failed that test. And so now they're here to kill him, like all of them, to beat the crap, to beat him into a bloody pulp on the floor. And he almost turns and bolts right then. And then the father stands up and he says, "Jinx, my boy." And everyone starts clapping. "Come, come." And so Jinx sort of shuffles forward, and the father embraces him, a hearty embrace, and pats him on the back. And he whispers into his ear, "Don't let her ghost chase you. You did what was right." And then he leans back, and he gives him a kiss on one cheek, and then a kiss on the other cheek. And he takes him in his arm, and he looks to the assembled gangsters and says, "I present to you our newly baptized brother into the Cardinal Vultures, Jinx, who has today cleaned our family from a viper, a witch. I have watched him for a long time, and I give him my blessing. He is a brother to you all, and he is a son to me." And then he gives Jinx another hug, and he pulls out a big fat cigar and says, "Only the best," and gives it to Jinx. And people start coming around Jinx and patting him, and one a short, a very attractive woman lights a light for him from her cyber finger and gives him kind of some come hither eyes. And people are congratulating him and patting him on the shoulder and shaking his hands, and the cigar really is good. And suddenly everything about Martina goes away. He has a new family, and they're a big family, and they mean business. He believes the father when the father tells him that he's his child, and that as a family they will stick through thick and thin together. And of course, his first lesson into the family: don't snitch. And we will leave the celebrations, we'll leave the story at Jinx celebrating with his newfound crew. And he's living it up. All right, so and we will go ahead, we'll do his experience here. All right, so this was mostly narrative, but he did survive the job. And I did allow for a couple places to where Martina might have got suspicious and caused him some kind of trouble. So he gets 1. Now that experience point, that will bring him up to 5. Let's see what he does with that experience points. What can he do? Learn and grow from experiences. Okay, you can write a new trademark. You can write a new edge for a trademark. Increase your total hit value by 1. Increase your stunt point value by 1. Let's take a moment and let's see what we've got here. All right, so after his partying and everything, I'm going to put wired reflexes. I'm going to use that. Wired reflexes. So he uses his time. He's never really had any kind of extensive modification to himself. He's just never really had the money. So he's going to get some wired reflexes. to make him even a better driver for the family. And it's also something that if, use a stunt point, say maybe I could combine Revhead and Daredevil to do something really cool. So I was thinking about giving him some more gun ability, some more shooting or fighting ability, but I think he's got enough of that. His true calling is a wheelman. So let's give him. I'm going to give him a free stash point. That's going to be uh, his bonus for joining, his sign-on bonus, so to speak. And then now we'll decide his leverage. Die 3. 1. All right, 1 point in leverage. I think what we'll do for the leverage. I'll just add it to his drive, because now he has the resources of this gang now to get there. There's a little niggle in the back of his head though that he's using he's using an anchor to try to climb to the stars, because like the father said, you don't just get out of the gang. But maybe he can bring his gang to the stars with him, or at least a presence there. And these are the things that he's thinking about as he sits in his apartment, smoking a nice hookah with some fine fly in it, thinking about Martina's face going hollow and empty as he put a bullet through her skull. All right, well, I had fun with that one, and I hope that you enjoyed the story too, and we will see you next time. Happy gaming.